getting ready for the draft. He's going to join us to give us the lay of the land out in KC, talk a little Jaguar draft, a little Jaguar offseason as well. We got Mike DeRocco, ESPN.com, is going to join us tonight. So is Dalton Miller of Pro Football Network. And that's pretty much what you can expect every night here this week on Hacker After Dark. So a lot of NFL draft talk. We will keep you updated on the NBA and the NHL playoffs. The Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 4 in round number 1. They trail the Maple Leafs 2-1 in the series, although they have just gone on top 1-0 here in Game 4, looking to even that series up at 2 games apiece. And in the NBA tonight, Milwaukee and Miami. That is Game 4. Pretty big game for the Milwaukee Bucks. They do not want to fall down 3-1 in the series. They lead Miami 31-26 nearing the end of the first quarter. So a big night tonight in the state. You got the Marlins playing at home. You got the Rays playing at home. The Lightning playing at home. And the Miami Heat playing at home. So we will keep you updated on all of those games over the next 2 hours. But as we do every night to kick it off here on Hacker After Dark, we do give you a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
All right. So the draft is here. The draft is upon us, and I am very, very fired up because of it. The Jacksonville Jaguars own the 24th pick in round number 1. And it's a different feel this year for the Jaguars, right? I mean, obviously, the last 2 years, you had the number 1 pick in the draft. 2 years ago, all the excitement because you knew Trevor Lawrence was going to be a Jaguar. Last year, on Monday of draft week, we weren't positive, but we knew it was either going to be Trayvon Walker or probably Aiden Hutchinson. I guess at this point, Aquanu, right, the offensive tackle from NC State, we'll remember that name. You know, it's funny, all the time you spend on these draft prospects. Could Jacksonville take this guy? Could Jacksonville take that guy? Remember Evan Neal, how many days and hours we spent talking about Evan Neal, and then the Jaguars don't take him, and you just don't talk about the guy anymore. But on Monday of last year, Trayvon Walker was at least in the conversation. So you had some inkling. This year, it's different, obviously. The Jaguars are picking 24th. You can't pinpoint who they're going to go after at 24. But you've heard all the names, right? You've heard Brian Branch of Alabama. You've heard Brian Burris of Clemson. You've heard if Darnell Wright, for some reason, is there, of a tackle from Tennessee. Nolan Smith, the edge rusher from Georgia. I would sprint to the podium if Nolan Smith was there. Sprint to the podium at number 24. Lucas Van Ness, the defensive lineman out of Iowa. You know the names. Obviously, we're going to have to wait till Thursday night, probably around 10 o'clock, 10:15 or so, when the Jaguars get on the clock to find out the name. And that's just one of 9 draft picks that the Jacksonville Jaguars have. And this is a big draft for Jacksonville. It's a big draft because they obviously didn't do much in free agency. They really couldn't do very much in free agency with their salary cap limitations. I mean, you add Josh Wells, you add Chandler Brewer, you add Dearness Johnson, you add a couple of interior defensive linemen. Nothing that gets anyone too excited. But the draft, you have an opportunity to change that. And I've been thinking about it every day, just like most Jaguar fans. You've been thinking about it every day. What positions do they need to draft? Where do they need to improve? And I've come to this revelation, and I think I actually brought this up a month or two ago, but in thinking more about it, and I think it is still true today. Outside of quarterback, right? Because if Trevor goes down, it doesn't matter who's behind him. Outside of quarterback and outside of wide receiver, because I'm not sure you can upgrade wide receiver very much at this point. With Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Jamal Agnew, and if you want to throw Evan Ingram into that passing game mix, man, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I don't know if it's realistic to think you can upgrade wide receiver at this point of the offseason. So take out quarterback, take out wide receiver. you can absolutely help your running back room. I love Travis Etienne. If Travis Etienne gets hurt tomorrow, what do you have at running back? JaMychal Hasty and Dearness Johnson? I don't think so. You would have to do something if Etienne got hurt, which means you need to upgrade it. Tight end, Evan Ingram, and then what? Luke Farrell? You don't have a whole lot behind Evan Ingram. So you could absolutely upgrade the tight end room. Offensive line, that's another one where I think you might be okay. You have 8 guys on the roster right now that have started or that did start at least 4 games in the NFL in 2022. Think about that for a second. When you take into account Cam Robinson, Ben Barch, and Tyler Shatley, Luke Fortner is 4, Brandon Sheriff is 5, Walker Little is 6, you go out and you add Chandler Brewer from the Rams is 7, Josh Wells from the Buccaneers is 8. You have 8 offensive linemen that started at least 4 games in the NFL in 2022. I don't know if that means anything, but it's interesting. I don't know how many other teams can say you have 8 guys in that O-line room that started at least 4 games last season. So you have some depth there, but as Trent Baalke said last week, and it was a great point, if you're a head coach, you're drafting and you're thinking about today. If you're a general manager, you're drafting and thinking about today and tomorrow. What does he mean by that? Well, it's obvious, right? You got to think about the present, but you have to be looking ahead to the future. Think about that offensive tackle room. In 2023, you're probably good because you got Cam Robinson, you got Walker Little, and you signed Josh Wells. Cam Robinson more than likely is not going to be here in 2024. He is due some it's like a $17, $18 million cap hit for Cam Robinson in 2024. And notice, of all the deals that got restructured this offseason, Cam Robinson's was not one of them. I think that's telling. So I think it's pretty safe to say that Cam Robinson's probably playing his last year in Jacksonville. Next year, Walker Little is probably going to want to start talking about a contract extension. And Josh Wells is 32 years old. So even though a tackle may not be the biggest need in 2023, it may turn in to the biggest need in 2024. So do you address tackle early on Thursday or Friday? I'm of the thinking I would not do it on Thursday. I would not spend a first-round pick on a tackle. I would start thinking about it in round 2 and certainly round 3. I need guys that are going to help Trevor Lawrence now, drafted in round 1, when Trevor's on his rookie deal. I don't want to draft somebody that's not going to help the Jaguars in 2023. If that's short-sighted of me, that's fine, but we all know that contract extension for Trevor is coming. You need to draft somebody that's going to help you while he's still on that rookie deal. So I think you could upgrade the offensive line room, but it's not a pressing need. I think corner is a pressing need. They've done nothing at corner. Nothing. I guess re-signing Trey Herndon. That's what they've done this offseason. So if the NFL schedule comes out next month, right? And let's say the Jaguars don't do anything. And let's say hypothetically Cincinnati is going to come in here for a Sunday night game. And they're going to bring Joe Burrow, and they're going to bring Boyd and Higgins and Jamar Chase and all those guys. As it stands right now, the Jaguars would be marching out there Tyson Campbell, Darius Williams, Trey Herndon, Gregory Jr., Montaric Brown. No, sir. They're going to have to address corner. That, to me, is where I might spend my first-round pick on Thursday night. Corner, to me, is a big deal. You say, well, you need to affect the quarterback. I agree with you. But keep in mind, right, Leonard Floyd, Frank Clark, Justin Houston, Jadeveon Clowney. I'll throw Ngakoue in there, although I don't think that's going to happen. Those guys are all still free agents. You could get a corner in round 1, and you're going to have enough cap room even after you sign your rookie class to go sign one of those veteran free agents. If you bring in, Joey Porter Jr. at corner, and then 2 weeks after the draft, you go sign Justin Houston, or you go sign Leonard Floyd, man, the issue is if you draft a pass rusher in round 1, you're not going to find as valuable a corner in either round 2 or a veteran on the street right now. So again, if it were me, based on the way the roster is, I would look very strongly at corner in round 1, and I would look very strongly at signing a veteran pass rusher to a 1-year deal, very similar to what they did with Arden Key last year. Linebacker, I don't know if you're good there. You got a lot of young guys, right? You got Shaq Quarterman. You obviously have Devin Lloyd, Chad Muma. Could they upgrade linebacker? Could they help that position? I don't think they would hurt it, certainly, if they drafted somebody. Safety, I'm okay with Rayshawn Jenkins and Andre Sisco. They obviously love Andrew Wingard because they re-signed him to a pretty good deal. You got Daniel Thomas on the roster, But the overwhelming point in all this is I believe the Jaguars are a good football team. I believe the Jaguars will be an overwhelming favorite to win the AFC South. And I believe the Jaguars, when you look at the AFC in totality, which, by the way, Aaron Rodgers, welcome to the AFC. We'll get to that in one moment as he's officially a New York Jet now. I think the Jaguars are right in the mix. They're behind Kansas City to me, probably behind Cincinnati, but then I think the conversation starts. Jacksonville, Buffalo, Miami. I guess you throw the Jets in there at this point, the Chargers. I think all those teams probably jumbled up together. But the Jaguars need to have a good draft. Because, again, other than quarterback, other than wide receiver, I don't think there's a position on this team that you do not need help at in some capacity. Whether it's immediate help now, like in my opinion running back would be, like cornerback needs to be, or certainly drafting for help in 2024 like you may need to do at offensive tackle. So pick 24 in round 1, pick 56 in round 2, pick 88 in round 3. Those are 3 picks that you need to draft people that are going to come in 2023 and help you on the field. You have 2 fourth-round picks, right? Picks 121 and 127. You'd like to think your 2 fourth-rounders can come in and contribute. And then after that, you got 3 picks in round 6, 1 pick in round 7. You hope you hit on 1 or 2 of those 4 guys, maybe find a diamond in the rough. But I've been going back and forth on this. We'll continue as we get closer to draft night, 72 hours away. If it's me, I'm probably going defensive back in round number 1. And then in round 2, whether I take the best edge rusher, the best tight end, or the best offensive tackle. That's at least the direction I'm looking at. Aaron Rodgers, as we mentioned, now in the American Football Conference as a member of the New York Jets. The deal got done early this afternoon. In case you missed it, Rodgers, the number 15 pick in the first round this year, and a 5th rounder in 2023, go to the Jets. The Packers move up 2 spots to number 13. They also get the Jets' 2nd rounder this year, which I believe is pick 42. And they get a conditional 2nd in 2024 that could turn into a 1st if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps for the New York Jets. Thank you again to Frank Gore. Thank you to Frank Gore and what he did for the Jaguars and how much he set back the Jets franchise. Because the Jets absolutely wasted their 1st-round pick in 2021 on Zach Wilson. Might as well be used toilet paper. They wasted that pick. He will probably never play another down for the Jets again. The Jets just had to trade a 2nd-rounder this year and either a 2nd or a 1st in 2024 to get a 39-year-old quarterback in Aaron Rodgers who's going to turn 40 before the season ends. All because Frank Gore and the Jets beat the Rams in December of 2020, costing them Trevor Lawrence and handing Trevor Lawrence to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Jets fans are excited. Aaron Rodgers, that's great. Where is Aaron Rodgers in the AFC among the quarterback hierarchy? I mean, seriously, for 1 year, for 2023, Mahomes or Rodgers, that's easy, right? Mahomes. Burrow or Rodgers? I think that's easy. I would take Burrow. Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers? I think that's easy. I'd probably take Josh Allen. Trevor Lawrence or Aaron Rodgers in 2023? I don't think I'm homering up here. Denmark, Lawrence or Rodgers for this season?
Trevor Lawrence.
I think so. I don't think we're being homers. I would absolutely take Trevor. Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers? All right. Justin Herbert or Aaron Rodgers? Heck, Deshaun Watson. I would probably take Rodgers over Watson. Watson, to me, is going to be a fascinating study. That guy was considered to be the second best quarterback in the league like 2 years ago. People just forget that he's in the AFC as well. The top 10 quarterbacks in the AFC right now compared to the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFC, I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime. The disparity. It is the varsity against the junior varsity. When you talk about the top, we'll go top 5. Top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC. Jalen Hurts would be number 1, right? Number 2 in the NFC, golly, Denmark. I mean, is it Dak Prescott?
Yep.
Number 3, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Justin Fields, Kyler Murray. You go to the AFC, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lawrence, Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, not even to take into account Tua. You know, I mentioned Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson. It's ridiculous. Jimmy Garoppolo is in the AFC now. People have just totally forgotten about Garoppolo with the Las Vegas Raiders. In my lifetime, I have never seen a disparity in quarterbacks this wide between the conferences. It is insane how much better the AFC is than the NFC. And if you're Tennessee, if you're Houston, if you're Indianapolis, if you're New England, potentially Pittsburgh, you better hope you find somebody and you find them quick. Pittsburgh better hope Kenny Pickett's the guy. They better hope. Indianapolis better hope whoever they drafted for is the guy. Houston, you better hope whoever you draft on Thursday night is the guy. Because you're looking up a mountain in the American Football Conference right now at all of these quarterbacks that are Pro Bowl, All-Pro, in some cases Hall of Fame caliber talent. Absolutely insane. It is a daunting, daunting task in the American Football Conference right now if you don't have the guy at quarterback. And thankfully here in Jacksonville, it appears we have one of the guys at quarterback. And, of course, his name is Trevor Lawrence. Let's talk Jaguars. Let's talk Jaguar offseason, but certainly let's look ahead to Thursday night and NFL draft weekend. Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. He's out already in Kansas City on the ground getting ready for Jaguars.com's coverage. We will talk to Brian out in Kansas City about the draft, about the AFC South, and more. He's next on a Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we are glad you are spending your Monday evening with us here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Sometimes life is a game of inches.
Tell me they got that in slow motion.
1010XL, your sports yardstick.
It's time to play Fix That Plumbing Problem. What do you do if you have a clogged drain? Contestant 1?
Use a different drain?
No, that doesn't really fix the problem. Contestant 2? That's right. Just call the duck.
Don't let plumbing problems linger. Call the pros at Duck Duck Rooter. Commercial, residential, any plumbing issue or project.
When you're stuck, call the duck. 904-862-6769.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital.
Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
1010XL is your home for Gators sports.
That ball's ripped.
When you hear Florida Gators baseball on 1010XL, it's brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
Fair ball, home run.
Catch Gators baseball all season long on 1010XL.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, regardless of age or past medical history, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Prime Men's Medical Center. And for unlimited time, your consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call now 904-664-8217.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On April 24th, 1962, LA Dodgers pitcher Sandy Koufax's second career 18-strikeout game took place in a 10-2 win over the Cubs.
I was on the go. It was time to eat. I said, baby, grab a dandy, cause they can't be beat. She got something else when it was time to choose. And after just one bite, I got that soggy sandwich blue. Should've known better, only dandy will do. Got that hometown flavor creeping up on you. Yeah.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
I'm Dr. Mitchell Yass, the most unknown world-renowned expert on pain elimination. That's right, elimination. If you've tried medications, injections, physical therapy, chiropractic, even surgery, and still experience pain, then say yes to Yass. I have successfully used the Yass method for over 30 years to help thousands reclaim their lives. To learn more, call me at 904-906-YASS. Let's end your pain and say yes to Yass.
Does your home or building need painting? For over 20 years, Performance Painting has had the privilege of preserving many of Jacksonville's most prominent buildings. That said, we feel like we're just getting started. I'm Jason Parker, and our team thrives on preparing, protecting, and preserving the homes, businesses, and public buildings that make up our local landscape. Contact us today to put our years of experience to work for you. Performance Painting, prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting! Are you looking for increased privacy and protection for your family and pets? Look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Superior Fence and Rail is Jacksonville's top-rated fence company, delivering the highest quality fence products. They'll treat your property as if it's their own. So get off the fence and get your privacy back. Call Superior Fence and Rail today for your on-site estimates.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Your quick and easy solution for paying the lowest price on car insurance is Estrella Insurance. E to the T here and start saving the big bucks and pay less today. Call 1-800-CAR-INSURANCE and see for yourself. That's 1-800-CAR-INSURANCE or visit EstrellaInsurance.com.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The week is here. The NFL Draft Thursday night out in Kansas City. The Jaguars own the 24th pick in round number 1. They have 9 picks in total Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Let's go out to Kansas City. The boys at Jaguars.com have already set up shop down there. That's where we find our friend Brian Sexton, who's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Brian, how is Kansas City, my friend?
Well, that's great. It's home. It's where my folks are and brothers, and grew up here. So when I heard that the draft was coming here a few years ago, I circled this week on the calendar, and am enjoying good barbecue and enjoying the chance to double dip, see the family, as well as get a little work done.
No, that's a beautiful thing. Hope you're enjoying your time out there. And Thursday night, we'll get here soon for the draft. Brian, before we get to that, I haven't talked to you since free agency, really since all the player movement of the offseason. A broad overview for somebody that might just be coming back to the Jaguars that doesn't know the news of the last 5 or 6 weeks. Brian, how would you, I guess, summarize the Jaguar offseason?
It was predictable. We knew that they were tight against the cap, and we knew that keeping a guy like Juwan Taylor was going to be a big challenge. The Jaguars spent a lot of money in 2022. In 2021, and built the roster up. So this year was going to be quiet. It was going to be try to maintain, try to figure out a way to overcome your losses in free agency via the draft, which is where we are right now. They're going to be looking to replace, the pass blocking of Juwan Taylor and the pass rushing of Arden Key. But they kept the guys that they really needed to keep. And, the draft and free agency are set up to work hand in hand because the salary cap doesn't let you keep everyone. And the Jaguars had reached a point where it was time to let a couple of guys walk, and that's the way it went.
Brian, you've seen a lot of press conferences in your time with the Jaguars, which dates back to the first day of existence. You've been there the entire time. I got to tell you, man, when the offseason program began last week, when Calvin Ridley basically held court last Wednesday at that press conference,
Awesome.
I've seen a lot of press conferences, Brian. I know you have as well. I don't know if I've been more impressed in a long time at a Jaguar press conference than I was with Calvin Ridley. What were your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I have to amend my previous statement. Calvin Ridley essentially was a free agent addition this year, right? I mean, they traded for him last November, and they didn't get him until right now. That's a major addition to this team. As a personality, as a competitor, I've never seen a free agent walk into the room so strong in who he is, yet willing to stop and without even anyone sticking their hand out. He's shaking hands. He's introducing himself. I can't remember the last personality that we had here that is as big as this guy. I mean, maybe Maurice Jones-Drew. I mean, he is a huge presence in any room he's in. And quite honestly, I think this franchise needs it. A lot of good guys on this team. A lot of hardworking, nose to the grindstone, blue-collar type mentalities. But to have a guy with the kind of swagger that he has, well, I'll take it back to 96. And, Andre Rison came in with Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardell. And when Andre left, the Jaguars took off. But Keenan and Jimmy both pointed to Andre, and they said, that guy brought something into the room that we didn't have before. And he gave us this belief and this energy of what we're capable of doing. And for the next couple of years, as the Jaguars' passing offense was so good, they always pointed back to the impact made by Andre Rison. Well, look, Calvin Ridley's not Andre Rison. He's coming. He's not going. But he has that same presence about him where you can just see that this team is going to have an entirely different element on the field and in its personality with someone like Calvin Ridley. I really like him.
Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Brian, Evan Ingram will be on the team. It's a little, I wouldn't call it a sticky situation, but he can't come to the offseason workouts. He has not officially signed either his franchise tender or the long-term deal that we're all hoping he gets. Trent Baalke last week said they're hoping to get a long-term deal done prior to camp. But the fact that Ingram at some point will be in the fold with Ridley, with Kirk, with Zay Jones, looks like they're keeping Jamal Agnew, of course, Etienne and Lawrence. Boy, Brian, this offense on paper, brother, could be really, really special.
Well, and what happens if they take a tight end somewhere in the first 2 or 3 picks? An instant impact kind of guy. I mean, I get the sense, and I've flippantly been telling Rotary clubs and people I meet at Publix that Doug Peterson wants people to chase him to 40 points. And I said to him, hey, I've just been telling people this. And he looked at me with a straight face, dead, not even a deadpan, and said, why wouldn't I want that? Now, he's not telling you what he's doing in the draft, but if that's the best player available, man, I mean, I think Doug Peterson is all about, I think the league is all about offense. It's just the way the rules have unfolded in the last 2 decades, and you can't have enough weapons. The offense has that advantage over the defense because the receivers know where they're going, and Doug is so creative. The guys you mentioned, and they will add a tight end in this draft, whether it's on day one or sometime Friday. Um, there's so many different weapons, and that's exciting enough. But Ryan, the way that Doug Peterson and Press Taylor and Mike McCoy work to create opportunities for these guys is equally exciting. To give these three mad offensive minds the ability to get into their laboratory and create, man, the golden age of Jaguars football. And I don't know whether you and I have talked recently, but that's what I'm calling this. It is open right now. The coach, the quarterback, the salary cap, the general manager's done a tremendous job of managing this roster. It is a good roster with a chance to get much better this week. Man, it's good. It's really good.
Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. Brian, you guys at Jaguars.com. The Hunt was fantastic last year. Episode 1 dropped, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. It was terrific. Can't wait for future episodes. And obviously, I think you guys knew when you put that out, the first 20 seconds were going to be a big talking point. And you mentioned the general manager, Trent Baalke, and I agree with you. I think he's done a marvelous job. But it was interesting that for the first time to my knowledge publicly, he kind of addressed the whole clown thing from the end of 2021 and the figurine that he showed on the Hunt that he keeps on his desk as a motivator to, quote, prove people wrong. It was telling, Brian. What was the reaction that you guys have gotten from that?
Well, I know that there has been a really strong reaction, but you know what? He proved them wrong. He proved all of his doubters wrong in this first year working with Doug Peterson. You know, the roster is in terrific shape. The salary cap, they knew it was going to be pressed in 2023, but it opens back up in 24 and is in really good shape in 25 when the new television deal comes along. Here's what I think. I think that was a very small and measured way for Trent to just kind of tip his cap and go, how do you like me now? And I'm not sure I would be that quiet about it, to be honest, because he took a lot of crap from a lot of people who were prematurely judging him on one relationship from his past. And hey, look, the guy went out and got it done. He did a hell of a job last year. And I'm not sure that enough of the people who were willing to put on a clown suit and point at him have done enough of a mea culpa to say, no, I was wrong. He was right. Right? Nobody ever hears the people who don't say, oh, you're right, I was wrong, because no one ever says that. In our culture today with social media, people just point the finger, they throw something against the wall, and whether they're right or they're wrong, they move on. But the lasting impression was that Trent Baalke was a problem. And it turns out he was a solution. Well, where are all those people now? I think the guy deserves a lot of credit because he handled it well. And I'm not sure I would have been as quiet about the clown thing as he was. So kudos to him for the way that he handled it.
Yeah, I completely agree with pretty much everything that you just said. No question about it. All right, Brian, let's get to this weekend. Let's get to the future of this Jaguar football team. Jawaan Taylor is gone. Is it as simple as Cam Robinson is your left tackle and Walker Little is your right tackle? Or could there be a scenario, because Cam Robinson likely to be gone in 2024 with that cap number, do you maybe think about keeping Walker Little at left tackle and doing something different at right tackle?
Well, my question is do you believe that Cam Robinson could make the move over and play right tackle? I think all of us assume, because he's such a powerful run blocker, that he could make that transition, and that he would do it for the betterment of the team, knowing that his contract will be up and now he goes somewhere else and right tackle isn't as attractive or as important as left tackle is. So there's a couple of different question marks there. I think if there's an offensive tackle, a good one that you like, if the right kid from Tennessee is sitting there, if you like the Oklahoma kid, if one of those guys are there, it's such a valuable position. And you saw the way that Philadelphia's offensive line, the way that Kansas City's offensive line took control of the game when Patrick Mahomes left with the ankle and they were pinned at their 2-yard line. And you got Chad Henne, who's immobile And if you go back and watch that series, the interior three of their offensive line, they were just dominant, right? So you've got a dominant offensive line. So if there's a tackle there, I mean, as much as I just talked about a weapon, and I'm not passing up an offensive tackle. If there is one there, I want it because, as you just said, it isn't necessarily simple as putting one guy on one side and one guy on the other side. You got to have that guy that can swing and do both spots. So, no, it's not as easy as just saying that. And if offensive tackle is there and he's the highest graded guy on your board, you can never have enough big guys, Ryan.
I thought Trent Baalke gave some interesting insight last week, saying it's a general manager's job to think about today and tomorrow, where it's the head coach's job to think about today. Well, when you're the GM, you think about today and tomorrow. Tomorrow meaning Cam Robinson's due like some astronomical $18 million figure or something next year. So do you let him go? And if that's the case, what do you do at tackle in 2024?
Ryan, if you just look at the salary cap guys, they restructured almost anybody who had a big paragraph 5, a big base salary.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 guys they did not. One is Darius Williams, the corner, and the other is Cam Robinson, who has the highest paragraph 5 on your roster and the highest salary cap number on your roster. Now, this is just interpretive, right? Because Trent did not tell me this. But when I see that they're not digging into that $16 million figure, because all of that is money you can convert to signing bonus, and you can lower him to $1.5 million base salary and thereby create $14.5 million in cap room. They didn't touch him. They left him alone. Well, that tells me something. That tells me what they're thinking. I could be wrong, but that's how I interpret it.
I think it's a great point. And it's one that certainly has not been lost on me when you look at all the restructurings that happened. Cam was not on that list. Having said that, Brian, as much as I agree with you, again, Brian Sexton here with us, that I think offensive tackle is a need, I'm imagining a hypothetical because we don't know when the game is going to be. But let's imagine Sunday Night Football is in town, week 1, week 2, whatever, and Cincinnati comes rolling in with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Boyd and Higgins and that offense. And, Brian, they've done nothing in the secondary. And they couldn't because they didn't have a lot of money. I get that. But right now you would be rolling out there as it stands today, Tyson Campbell, Darius Williams, Trey Herndon, and then I guess Gregory Jr. and Monteric Brown. For the life of me, I cannot imagine a scenario where in either round 1 or round 2 they do not address that situation.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, as much as we just talk about the value of positions, right? There are 5 positions that are valued above all else. The quarterback, the guy who protects him, the left tackle, the guy who chases him, the pass rusher, the guy who covers the wide receiver, the cornerback, and then obviously the wide receiver himself. So, yeah, I mean, if you have the chance to add a corner, and I'm not going to pretend that I am an evaluator enough to be able to tell you that this guy's better than that one. In their system, they're going to value, whether it's Joey Porter Jr. or Deonte Banks. I mean, that's all guesswork. You and I would just be telling you our opinion, and it doesn't matter a hill of beans. But if one of those corners is available and they love him, there are 5 really good corners from what I'm told in the top 25 picks. My thought is there's going to be a run on both of those positions. There's going to be a run on offensive tackle. There's going to be a run on corner. When do they start? And does one run create an opportunity that pushes players down the board at the other position for the Jaguars? So if you told me cornerback's the first pick, done. I get it. I know it's a position of need. It's one of the premium positions. If the best guy is a corner, give him to me.
Final moments, Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. Brian, you mentioned tight end earlier. Boy, it would be appealing, man, if a Michael Mayer or a Dalton Kincaid or a Darnell Washington was sitting there at 24. I know you got a lot of offensive playmakers already, but, boy, that would be awfully hard to me to pass up a Michael Mayer at 24.
Oh, yeah, he's special. I mean, and from what I hear, the Dalton Kincaid kid is, too, at Utah. And I got to tell you, Mercedes Lewis is one of my favorite players and favorite people that have ever come through Jacksonville. So I look at Darnell Washington and I think, why wouldn't I want that? I mean, he's said to be a nasty competitor, right, who knows how to use his inordinately large arms with incredibly large hands to his advantage. You're going to tell me that the quarterback wouldn't like a 6'7" guy who can jump like that with those arms in the back of the end zone? Done. Any of those 3 I would love to have. I do recognize that it's a deep draft for tight ends. There's a kid up the road from where I'm at right now in South Dakota named Tucker Kraft, who after his sophomore year put his name in the transfer portal, and Alabama, among other schools, came at him with big NIL money, trying to convince him to come play in the Southeastern Conference or in the Big 12, and he stayed. So, but he's a really talented guy. Think of the kid Dallas, the kid at Philadelphia who came from South Dakota
Dallas
State.
Goddard. Yeah.
Goddard, right. I was saying Gottlieb. Goddard. He's that kind of a guy. Oh, okay. Well, if you can get him somewhere, they have picked 56 and 88 right now. If you feel like he fits in there, okay, well, then you don't have to address the tight end, because I'm told he's a sensational prospect. I think tight ends, I don't know. I'm a fan of the position. I always have been a fan of the position. You've got special players this year. I recognize it's not one of those 5 premium positions. I don't think you can pass on either offensive tackle or cornerback for tight end. But if those other 2 positions are not there, give me one of the tight ends.
Brian, in the final moments, because I want to talk about the coverage you guys have coming up on Jaguars.com quickly. You mentioned all the restructuring. The Jaguars have enough salary cap room to not only sign their draft class, but they'll have plenty left over. I don't think they're going to take all that money with them into the season when Trevor's on a rookie deal. So whether it's Frank Clark, Leonard Floyd, Justin Houston, Jadeveon Clowney, I mean, one of these pass rush veterans that's available is going to be a Jaguar in about a month. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think that's a really smart, a very astute observation on your part. It depends on what happens. If they take a pass rusher, right? If Lucas Van Ness or if Nolan Smith is there at 24, or they go up, say to 18 to get one of them, well, then I don't think they'd spend the money on a veteran pass rusher. But if they don't get a pass rusher somewhere on day 1 or day 2, then I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and they've got the ability to go spend that money and create an opportunity to find someone. They went and they restructured and they left themselves flexibility, right? That's what this team has had in years past, and they didn't have as much of it this year, but they've got enough with what they've done to be able to go and find a player or 2 to go compete. You heard Doug. The window's now. It's when you have a quarterback like they have, when you have a coach and a coaching staff like this one has, when you have the weapons, the window's open. Find a way to get it done. Spend to the cap. And that's what I was saying last year I wanted to see them do. They did it. It's what I want to see them do this year as well. Spend to the cap. You need to have a couple million sitting there in case you have an injury. You need to go find somebody late in the year. But I think they're in a great spot. I think Baalke and Peterson are an excellent team. They work well together. Their personalities fit. They've got a vision. Of course, Doug has done it before. That's why I say, the golden age is right now. The personnel, the coaches, the players, the new facility that opens in July. I mean, this thing is ready to roar, and it's the golden age of Jaguars football. Man, it's exciting.
Brian, very busy week for you guys at Jaguars.com. You're already out in Kansas City. What can folks look forward to this week?
Well, so I'll be here on Wednesday. There'll be a lot of player interaction and community events and opportunities to chat with them. So we'll send a lot of content back. Thursday, we're digital, we're TV, we're radio, we're live before and after the pick. Depending on if the pick's there, I'll have the first interview with the pick. There's only 17 players here, and the Jaguars are picking 24th. So there's a better than average chance that the player that they select is not here. But if he's here, I'll have the first word with him. And then through the weekend, we will be live from the studios in Jacksonville. I'm coming back for Friday night and Saturday, and we'll have great perspective, analysis, and insight into how this weekend helps the Jaguars take another big step towards that Super Bowl goal maybe this year.
Boy, it just feels like they walked off the field in Kansas City at Arrowhead, and now all of a sudden it's the draft, and in a couple of weeks OTAs, and then here we go again for the 2023
the only downside
season.
With this being, that's the only downside of being here this week. My relatives who are Chiefs fans are beating me over the head with a second Super Bowl in 4 years. So, but Kansas City is a great little sports market. It's not Philly, it's not Dallas, it's not LA or Chicago. But It's a Chiefs town, and I think that's going to make it for a fun weekend.
Chiefs come to Jacksonville this year. I would have to think that'd be a strong consideration for a prime time game here in Duval County. We will see when the schedule comes out in a couple of weeks. Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. Brian, busy week for you, brother. Thank you for taking time out. We certainly appreciate it.
Anytime, Ryan. Take care.
All aboard! The momentum train is moving in the right direction.
Everyone believed in everyone.
1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
There is so much I love about spring. Mia here. It's hard to choose a favorite. Kind of like the amazing used selection you'll find at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. I'm talking 400 premium pre-owned on the lot. So to make your decision a little easier, you get 30 days to love your purchase or exchange it for one that you do. And with a 4.7 out of 5-star rating and over 16,000 Google reviews, you know my friends at Arlington are going to help you pick the best ride for you. Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Hey Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Warm weather means the beach, fishing, golf, and more. Make sure to drop into Daly's and grab a cold case to go. From Bud Light to their seltzer, from Mick Ultra to Modelo, or your favorite crafts like Bold City or Sweetwater. Grab and go at your local Daly's.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, it's Prosser here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will only cost you around $400 a month. Use that money and pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement project. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. So even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness. Say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Or as always, you can visit loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. You've heard us talk about it. Window World, the #1 window replacement company in the USA, selling over 1 million windows each year for the past 8 years.
That's a lot of satisfied customers, and why J.D. Powers has awarded Window World Best in Customer Satisfaction 3 out of 4 years.
Window World stands behind their slogan, simply the best for less. With Window World, you get top quality windows at a price that leaves more of your money in your bank account, and you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement industry. When compared to our competition, there is none. See for yourself. Call the competition. Get quotes from them. But before you buy, get Window World's free estimate and compare the quality of the windows and the price.
You'll see.
And when your new Window World windows are installed and they're saving you money on your energy bills, if anything goes wrong with those windows, Window World and I will be there to make it right. That's my guarantee.
Call Window World today. Start saving money on your new windows and your energy bills, and take vacation with your savings. Window World, online at windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors and siding.
Have brunch with Dan, Jeff, and members of the PGA Tour.
What's the matter? You on a diet? You ain't hungry?
Tour news, tips, and inside info brought to you by
Clearwater Irrigation.
That should be enough to do it.
8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
Cheer on your Jacksonville Sharks Sunday, April 30th, 4 o'clock at the Vistar Arena, and see the Sharks smash their in-state rivals, the Orlando Predators. With tickets as low as $15, you can't find this kind of family affordable fun anywhere else. Join us for our exclusive movie night. Strut down the red carpet. Pose for the paparazzi. Shark Tank Sunday, April 30th, 4 o'clock at the Vistar Memorial Arena. For tickets as low as $15, call 904-621-0700 or check out jacksharks.com. Come dressed to impress. Fins up.
It's time to fire up the grill. Houston's Meat Specials of the Week. 10 pounds of fresh jumbo chicken wings at $19.95. Fresh baby back ribs, $2.99 a pound. And whole packer T-bone steaks at $4.95 a pound. Sliced free. Only at Houston's Meat, Main Street and 295.
Hey, Carline here, and let's talk of getting rid of pain with QC Kinetics. Get lasting relief from joint pain without surgery or drugs. QC Kinetics has clinics in Ponte Vedra and in Mandarin on San Jose. Call 904-274-5522. They've taken it to a whole new level with new medical director, Dr. Peter Atch, a renowned triple board certified doctor with decades of experience. Look, if you're tired of living with pain in your back, hips, shoulders, knees, don't let anyone tell you surgery is your only option. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Call 904-274-5522. Learn how advanced regenerative medicine can get you real relief. Don't go under the knife. Don't deal with downtime. QC Kinetics takes the healing properties from your own body, concentrates them, and puts them into your affected joint to repair and restore the damaged tissue. QC Kinetics, call 904-274-5522.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Denmark is the Hangover song, right?
Sure.
Who'd you say sings this?
This is T.I.
Yes, T.I., otherwise known as the Hangover song.
Yes, one of the many.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm the only guy that recognizes songs based on movies and have absolutely no idea who sings said piece of music. But there you go. Couple of things. Scoreboard update. What a big night in the state of Florida. We mentioned the NBA playoffs going on in the state. Milwaukee leads Miami 57-50 at halftime. Probably a must-win for Milwaukee. They're staring at a 3-1 deficit. Giannis is back for the Bucks. They lead Miami by 7. Tampa Bay and Toronto in the NHL playoffs. Probably a must-win for the Lightning. They're down 2-1 in the series. They do lead Toronto 2-1 in Game 4, about midway through the second period. And also in the St. Pete area, the Tampa Bay Rays lead the Houston Astros 7-3. They're stretching going to the bottom of the 7th at Tropicana Field. Tampa is 19-3 on the year. They are a perfect 13-0 at home, and they're looking to go 20-3 tonight if they can hold on to this 7-3 lead over the Houston Astros. Dalton Miller of Pro Football Network. He is coming up in less than 10 minutes here on Hacker After Dark, as we'll not only talk Jaguars, but I want to focus on the top 5 of the draft, the quarterbacks, and look more at the AFC South. Quickly, a couple of college football nuggets. Denmark, you like people storming the field after a big win on college football Saturdays in the fall? You like the fans doing that?
I'm fine with it, but I mean, if you're like, I'll say I'm fine with it.
I absolutely can't stand it. And maybe this is a get off my lawn moment. I've never been a fan of storming the field, particularly, I don't know, when you beat a 6-5 team that didn't have their top 3 receivers on a Friday night in Doak Campbell in November, and you storm the field after beating a 6-5 Florida Gator team. I have always liked Florida State. Yeah, that was not a good look for Florida State. I don't care how much I got ripped on social media. I still believe that was a terrible look. Having said that, apparently the SEC is getting tired of it, and they're looking for their schools to have harsher penalties. They're going to be reviewing things about penalizing programs for their fans storming the field, including potentially the loss of a future home game or forfeiting wins. Now, again, none of this has been agreed to. It's just things that are being looked at according to reports. But you start talking about losing a future home game, I don't know how necessarily they would even do that. But that would cost schools millions and millions of dollars. Let a school get the thought of losing a home game, and you'll see triple and quadruple security there to make sure their fans don't storm the field. So that is certainly something to at least check out. Also in Gator news over the weekend, Xavier Henderson is the latest to enter the transfer portal. That one stings, probably a little more than some of the other ones. Henderson was one of the best receivers Florida had last year, one of the best receivers Florida had coming back. Now, the emergence of some of the young guys like a Mizell, like an Andy Jean, Eugene Wilson, Marcus Burke, when they, particularly when Wilson gets on campus, Marcus Burke did some nice things in the spring game, but was kind of taken aback a little bit that Xavier Henderson is entering the transfer portal and appears to have played his last game in a Florida Gator uniform. And finally, boy, the tongue in the ear of ESPN towards the University of Colorado over the weekend. Look, congratulations to Colorado for getting 47,000 people to their spring game, but my gracious alive, ESPN just slobbering over Deion Sanders in Colorado. It was nauseating. Everybody loves Colorado now. They're a great story. Reality will set in September. And what reality will be is that Colorado team will be lucky to win 4 games. So they can have their fun and their moment in the sun on ESPN and all that. They are going to be awful in Deion's first year. I just had enough of the Colorado love fest over the weekend. By the way, in the 48 hours since the spring game, Colorado has had 17 guys enter the transfer portal. That is incredible. 641-1010 is your phone number here on Hacker After Dark. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We're with you till 10 o'clock. The Tampa Bay Lightning have added a goal. They go up 3-1 now in Game 4 of their Stanley Cup playoff series against Toronto. Coming up next, Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. Let's talk Jaguars. Let's talk AFC South, Anthony Richardson, and more. The draft less than 72 hours away. Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, next on Hacker After Dark.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
We feel like children.
They are The Drill.
We're closer than brothers. Brothers always fight.
Mornings.
We really have a relationship that's way, way past that.
On 1010XL.
We've grown up.
It's time to play Fix That Plumbing Problem. What do you do if you have a leaky pipe? Contestant 1.
Put a bucket under it?
That's it?
And maybe a towel?
Contestant 2. That's right! Just call the Duck.
Clogged drains, leaky pipes to full repipes, just call the pros at Duck Duck Rooter. Commercial, residential, any plumbing issue.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
E.T. here, and y'all know how much I like my brown water, but I ain't gonna lie, it gives me headaches sometimes. So my alternative is Brackish Vodka. This gluten-free alternative to Tito's is 100% local, and all monies stays right here in Duval. Not only does Brackish Vodka make you feel good, but when you support Brackish Vodka, you're also helping local charities. Try it side by side with your favorite vodka, and you will taste and smell how natural Brackish Vodka really is. And when you do, remember who sent you. Come on, somebody.
Round up a foursome of friends and test your aim to help kids succeed. It's the 5th annual Camp Deep Pond Clay Shoot, presented by the Mackenzie Noel Wilson Foundation, supporting Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida. The fun takes place Friday, May 12th. You bring the team, and the Boys and Girls Clubs take care of the rest. Proceeds benefit Mackenzie's Camp Deep Pond, an outdoor spring break and summer camp experience for local kids and teens. Visit bgcnf.org/events.
And now, Woody's Barbecue presents the subliminal advertising approach.
Let's eat.
Kids say the smartest things.
At Woody's Barbecue, it's what we do.
Let's eat.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and I said yes to Yas, Dr. Mitchell Yas, and the Yas method. Now, I know you've probably tried medications, treatments, injections, even surgery. Maybe the reason you're still in pain is because they're treating the wrong thing and not addressing the root causes. Well, I know from personal experience, this does happen. But I found the best-kept secret in pain elimination, Dr. Yas and the Yas method. Call him today, 904-906-YASS, and say yes to Yas.
We want people to feel that when they call Harlan Herald, they're calling Harlan Herald. They're not calling a satellite office or call center or getting an automated phone system. We are with our clients, fighting for our clients, handling the process ourselves, and not asking others to do that for us. I mean, we feel like we made the right decision to be the size that we are, large enough to take on anyone, but small enough to care and really know our clients.
Offices Jacksonville.
There's a world of difference between and that's why you can trust Famous Automotive and Tire when it comes to your vehicle's care. Because there's a difference between and. It all starts with the triangle of safety. Your tires, brakes, and the front end. Take care of those 3 points and your car will take good care of you. Start at Famous Automotive and Tires. 7 locations servicing every customer like they're famous.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From roll and lock bed covers to Lear toppers to cam locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Serving the First Coast for over 20 years, Instant Keys offers honest professional locksmith service for the replacement of lost, stolen, or broken keys and remotes. Get dealer-level service at a fraction of the time and cost. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. What's better than beer? Cold beer. Put your company logo on a custom koozie. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Cataracts can take a toll on the quality of a loved one's life. Maybe it's even your parents or someone close to you. Hey, Hicken here. I've been talking to you about Bowden Eye. And it turns out renowned cataract care is right here at Bowden Eye & Associates. Their doctors help those with cataracts feel hopeful, sometimes for the first time in a long time. If someone you love is suffering from cataracts, schedule a visit for a personal consultation. 3 locations to serve you, including the new office on County Road 210 in St. Johns County.
David here with Royal Pest Services. That grass is waking up from its winter nap. Royal is close to applying products that help bring it out of that dormancy. Our granular aeration allows treatment to get to the root system. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to schedule a free estimate. It's grow time.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Hacker. After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The week has finally arrived. Well, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It seems to drag on, but it is here. The draft is on Thursday night. The Jaguars own the 24th pick in round number 1. As of right now, the Jaguars have 9 draft picks in total, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. For the very latest, let's go to our man Dalton Miller of Pro Football Network. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Dalton, how you doing?
Fantastic. I'm ready for this to get going, as it seems you are as well.
There's no question about it. And look, I understand, the late April date, but in talking to people around the league, Dalton, I'm curious your thoughts as long as you've been doing this. For the last 2 or 3 weeks, right, if this thing ever were to be moved up to early to mid-April, that's enough time, right? Teams have been ready for this now for a couple of weeks, have they not?
Yeah, I think the media frenzy is definitely some time behind, because you got to think of it this way: the media gets its information through agents and front office personnel, and it takes prying to get all of that information out of these guys. It's texting and calling and waiting to get things back, and sometimes things that we hear now have been known since the end of March. I do think, however, with the 30 visits going on until this past week, I do think that teams are still moving their boards around a little bit. I think they've obviously seen all of the tape, but I do think those official visits, getting those guys in the building, getting them on the board, I think is important to these teams. So I do think that the teams are still trying to figure some stuff out. I do think, however, a lot of it at the top has already been figured out.
Dalton, you and I talked about a month ago, and at that point, it looked like C.J. Stroud to Carolina. And something has happened in the last month, because now I think it would be surprising, if not shocking, if Bryce Young was not the number one pick on Thursday night to the Carolina Panthers. What happened in the last month there?
I think it just took us the media frenzy. I think it just took us a little while to understand what Carolina really wanted to do. I think we all kind of thought, because he is such a size outlier, that we would be, going with C.J. Stroud with that top pick. And, when you look back at things and the way that the conversations went at the Combine, Scott Fitterer and Frank Reich hadn't spoken about the quarterbacks yet. So they didn't know what they were doing at that point. Now, they individually might have known, but as a unit, they didn't know what they were doing. It took them talking and figuring out Bryce Young, his tape, it's good enough. We don't care that he's 5'10", 180 pounds. We are drafting this guy first overall. We're going to protect him. We're going to figure out ways to get the ball out of his hands so he's not taking, hit after hit after hit. We're going to figure this thing out for him. And I think that that's what it came down to. They liked his tape enough, more than the rest of the group, to go with him and believe that he is a high-end and safe option for them.
Dalton Miller of Pro Football Network. Dalton, your opinion, people you've talked to around the league, let's say Bryce Young hits his ceiling. Let's say he's a slam dunk. Is he Drew Brees? Is he Kyler Murray? Is he somewhere in the middle? What's your thought there?
Yeah, I definitely don't think we've seen a player like him. He's incredibly interesting just because a lot of people want to say, his height matters or his height doesn't matter, but his height and his size kind of dictates the way that he plays the game, and it's completely different from what we're used to seeing. But I do think as a passer, there are similarities to Drew Brees. There really, truly are. His headiness, his mind, his brain works incredibly quick when it comes to especially like quick passing concepts. But he has such a playmaking ability on top of that he isn't Drew Brees, because Brees never had that. Brees got the ball out quickly. Brees hit guys before they were out of their breaks. And Brees was quite good over the middle of the field, and we see that with Bryce Young as well. So I do think when you're looking at it from a football perspective, Brees is probably the closest comp you get to him if he hits his ceiling. But I look at it from more of a basketball perspective, and a lot of people have comped him to Steph Curry, but I think it's more like Allen Iverson, somebody who played in the paint quite a bit during his time with the Philadelphia 76ers, lived amongst the Giants on the interior, banged around with them, survived them, and thrived in that interior and in the paint. And I think that that's what you see from Bryce Young, somebody who can create inside of the pocket, be incredibly heady. He reminds me a little bit of Joe Burrow in the pocket, a little bit of Tony Romo in their ability to shake pressure and create inside of the pocket without having to get out and kind of scoot. So he's an incredibly interesting player. I just didn't really expect him to be the first pick because of his size.
Dalton Miller of Pro Football Network. That gets us to number 2, something we're taking notice of here in Jacksonville. That's where the AFC South teams begin with the Houston Texans. Boy, they're all over the board. Normally 3 days out, you have a pretty firm understanding as to what's going to happen there in the top 5, but yet here we go, Dalton. Houston could go Will Anderson. Houston could go another defensive player. Houston could go, I guess, Levis, the quarterback from Kentucky, is, I guess, the highest trending guy on the Caesar Sportsbook right now to go number 2. That kind of caught me off guard. And even this morning, you're hearing that Anthony Richardson could still be in play at number 2. So what are you hearing out of Houston, Texas?
Yeah, so everything that I've seen, heard, I think it's going to be either a trade back. And if it's Will Levis, I don't think it'll be the Houston Texans. I think it's going to be the Indianapolis Colts trading up to the Texans pick at 2. But that doesn't make a whole lot of sense given they are both in the AFC South. It just doesn't make sense that would happen. I think more than anything, they're going to end up with Tyree Wilson at the 2nd pick. I think that he fits their system a little bit more than Will Anderson, and I think Will Anderson is the better player overall. I think that he has a fantastic ceiling floor combination. Tyree Wilson is just the type of player that the San Francisco DeMeco Ryan style defense likes to employ on the edge as a defensive end, whereas I think Will Anderson is a better fit in Arizona with Jonathan Gannon's defense. So I think that's the way that kind of shakes out at the end of the day. I think that the AFC South gets another season of the Houston Texans not having their answer at quarterback. And listen, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but if they don't love this quarterback class, it makes sense for them to pass on it.
Do you think if they go defensive player at 2, they own the 12th pick because of the Deshaun Watson trade, could they potentially get a quarterback that slides, or would they maybe even come back into the top 10 if a Will Levis or an Anthony Richardson or even a C.J. Stroud starts sliding a little bit?
Yeah, I don't think they'll get the opportunity to. I don't think they'll be able to trade back up. We see historically, we think that all these trades are going to go down. But over the past 4 years, there's only been, once the draft has started, there's only been 2 top 10 trades in the past 4 years. I don't think Arizona's going to move twice, or I don't think that they're going to be the ones moving up. I actually think it's going to be the next team that is going to be trading the pick. The Arizona Cardinals, I think, are going to be the team that move back a little bit, and a team is going to move up for a quarterback. But I think that all of the quarterbacks are going to be gone by that 12th pick, but I think they're going to be okay with that. I think they're going to end up just going with Jackson Smith and Jigba to really add a number 1 type receiver for that team.
You know, you look at number 3, you mentioned Arizona, you think they're going to trade back. I think it would be a surprise at this point if Arizona did pick at number 3. All the talk is, could Indy move up 1 spot, or could Tennessee even move up to take a C.J. Stroud? I don't know what that would cost to go from 11 to 3. It would probably be very expensive. What are the teams, are those the 2 most likely teams, Dalton, the Titans and the Colts, that might want to get that number 3 spot?
I actually don't think that the Titans have a very good chance, but I don't think that Arizona wants to move back that far, even though they need a ton on their roster. I think they still want to get one of the blue chip players from this class. I think it's one of 3 teams, and it's a little bit surprising, but when you look at their situations, I think it's the Indianapolis Colts at 4. I think it's the Detroit Lions at 6, and I think it's the Seattle Seahawks at 5. I think those are the 3 teams that might move up for that pick. And in my mock draft that'll come out tomorrow, it's a 3-round mock, I actually have the Detroit Lions moving up to that 3rd pick and picking C.J. Stroud. I think that when they look at what they have in Jared Goff, they're not going to want to extend him after this season, which they are going to have to do. It's the last year of his deal. I think that you're looking at the Seattle Seahawks, who might want to move up for Anthony Richardson, but won't have the opportunity to do it at this point. I think it's going to be the Detroit Lions going up and taking C.J. Stroud, somebody who is a little bit safe to them, at least, somebody who is an elevated version of Jared Goff, and at his best might be an athletic version of Dak Prescott. So you're looking at somebody who, in an NFC that doesn't have a ton of high-end quarterback talent, you can win games. You can go to a Super Bowl with a player like C.J. Stroud if he is as good as we believe he can be at the NFL level.
Couple of more for Dalton Miller. You catch him at ProFootballNetwork.com. All right, not to put words in your mouth, but just listening to you, are you of the opinion, Dalton, that 4 quarterbacks will be going in the top 5?
No, I do not. No, I don't think that 4 go in the top 5. I think 3 go in the top 5. I think you're going to get Anthony Richardson going to the Indianapolis Colts at that point, and then you're going to see Will Levis falling down to 11 at the Tennessee Titans pick. I think there's been a ton of smoke around Will Levis in the past week, but part of me just thinks it's that CAA machine. And like I said, agencies have a lot to do with the narratives that we see surrounding the NFL draft. He is represented by CAA, and they are absolute assassins when it comes to, first of all, the way that they negotiate contracts, but second of all, they are one of, if not the biggest organization when it comes to representing players, specifically quarterbacks, and they have buddies in the media. So I think that's partially what's been pushing this.
Let me ask you about Tennessee, because they appear on paper to be the Jaguars' biggest competitor. We'll see what Indy does at quarterback in the AFC South. Rumors really for the last few weeks and months, but certainly they've picked up again about Derrick Henry this and Ryan Tannehill that. The Tannehill rumors began yesterday that he apparently is on the trade block. We had former NFL players come out and say that Derrick Henry is going to the Philadelphia Eagles, and absolutely nobody vouched for that out of Nashville. Yeah. So what exactly is going on with the Titans right now, 3 days out from the draft?
Well, it definitely seems like they want to kind of retool, maybe rebuild. I don't see – it's a thing with the Bill Belichick tree. I just don't think that a guy like Mike Vrabel will want to – he's never been bad. You know what I mean? when he was a player, when he was with the Patriots, they were always fantastic. When he's been with Tennessee, they've always overachieved outside of last year. But, they were riddled with injuries. I just don't see them, unless they absolutely have to get rid of Ryan Tannehill in a trade, unless they absolutely have to get rid of Derrick Henry in a trade. I can't see them actually blowing this thing up. It just doesn't seem like the way that Mike Vrabel will want to go about things. So I think that Tannehill, you get another year of him, then you can let him go, save a bunch of money, rebuild this team around somebody like Will Levis with the 11th pick, and then you try to compete from there. I don't see them as legitimate contenders anymore. I think that there's too many holes on that team, specifically on the offensive line. We'll have to, wait and see how it goes. They've always, like I said, overachieved. But I really think Jacksonville is sitting pretty right now.
Dalton, how do you see Anthony Richardson if he goes to Indianapolis? How do you like that fit?
I absolutely love the fit. He's a supercharged version of Jalen Hurts, kind of, when it comes to, his athletic ability. We've really never seen anybody like him. He's been likened to Cam Newton. He's been likened to Josh Allen. I think he's a little bit of a mix between them. Justin Fields, he's a little bit different because I think he's a better passer than Cam Newton. Not quite as physical as Cam. And that's probably a good thing because you don't want him taking a ton of hits. You've seen Josh Allen talk about it recently. He needs to kind of change the way that he plays and not take as many hits. I think Shane Steichen is a fantastic offensive coordinator. He can really fit his offense to Anthony Richardson's, ceiling and his strengths. It'll take time. He won't be fantastic right away. It might take him 2 or 3 years to get to the level he needs to be at, like we saw with Josh Allen. So I think that there's a little bit of a buffer with Jacksonville, but it will be entertaining, that is for sure.
Final moments, Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. That brings us to the Jaguars. They own the 24th pick in round number 1, pick 56 in round number 2. Dalton, with free agency, the way it played out, the Jaguars added some depth along the line, a little bit of depth on the interior defensive line, nothing that I would say would stop them from basically doing anything they wanted to in round 1, best player available, etc. How do you see the Jaguars at 24 and even at 56 as far as positions they need to target?
Yeah, I think they're in a really good spot. I don't think that they absolutely have to do much of anything. It sounds a little bit weird because the defense wasn't outstanding last year, but there's not a ton of glaring holes defensively. I do think that they should add at corner, specifically an outside corner. It seems like a need for them. It's a really good cornerback class, so they could go with that direction with the second round pick. And obviously Darius Williams has played better on the outside. He played in the slot last year. You kind of think from a size perspective that might be where he ends up, but he is better on the outside. So that gives them a little bit of freedom. I gave them a pretty good haul in my mock draft. Myles Murphy fell to them. While he is a little bit raw as a pass rusher coming out of Clemson, they've shown that they don't really care about that because they just drafted Trevon Walker the year before, who was definitely a raw pass rusher, and they took him with the first pick. Myles Murphy, somebody who can play with outstanding power, can play in a 3-point stance, he can play within a 2-point stance. I really think that he would be a fantastic pick if he falls to 24. And then with cornerback in round 2, they could go so many different directions with that pick. I really think they're set up for success to really kind of hone in on improving this defense to a point to where the offense and defense can complement each other and they can really run away with the AFC South.
Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. He's one of our guys here on 1010XL. Dalton, thank you for the time as always. We'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Need more Gators?
We've got you covered.
Search 1010XL Florida Gators
where you find podcasts.
Or visit 1010XL.com to hear Hicken and Franchi on Mondays and Denny Thompson and Hacker on Wednesdays.
New episodes each week.
So I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $30,000 a year and right now graduate making over $80,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition and no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted into the program, your only costs are the books and the course fees, around $700 a year.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org.
Apply by May 18th.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
The Green Beret Charity Golf Tournament at the Golf Club of Southampton is May 12th. To learn more, search the Green Beret Golf Tournament at Southampton.
Help support the amazing work of Catholic Charities while you have a great day on the golf course at the Transforming Lives Golf Tournament at St. John's Country Club, May 12th. Get tickets at ccbstaug.org.
The annual Wolfson Children's Hospital Bass Tournament is May 18th through the 20th. Register at wolfsonsbasstournament.com.
City Rescue Mission provides life-changing support for the homeless. Find ways to get involved at crmjax.org.
The Tom Coughlin J Fund helps families battling childhood cancer, and there are ways you can help. Go to tcjfund.org.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com.
Plenty of hot spots all over the First Coast, from the beaches to Riverside, San Marco, and St. Aug. If you're out and about and having fun, make sure you designate a driver so everyone on the road gets home safely. Budweiser, reminding you to play it smart.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out the Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At the Y Summer Camp, every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited, and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
He used to cover the Jags. Now he's a CBS Sports senior NFL writer.
Well, I believe he got everybody's attention.
He's Pete Prisco. Friday afternoons on The Frangie Show. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles on 1010XL.
David Garrard here. Once again, Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has eased my knee pain with PRP treatment. PRP is a platelet-rich plasma concentrate that promotes tissue repair naturally. If you are dealing with pain or an injury, ask your doctor, a Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, about PRP to determine if it's right for you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
The Jacksonville RV Stadium Show, brought to you by Travel Camp RV, is Wednesday through Sunday. Catch the XL Primetime crew live Friday from noon to 3. Lot J downtown at the Bank. This weekend only, the Jacksonville RV Stadium Show, brought to you by Travel Camp RV.
You love free. And at Ameris Bank, so do we. That's why we're proud to offer worry-free, hassle-free Ameris Bank free checking. Manage your money your way with convenient access to digital, mobile, and telephone banking, all with no monthly service fee or minimum balance requirements. At Ameris Bank, we're with you. For more information or to open an account, visit our local bankers in person or online at amerisbank.com/free checking. Other fees such as overdraft fees may apply. Ameris Bank, member FDIC, equal
There's a
housing
new
lender.
butcher in town. We're talking a vacuum marinating, sausage grinding, take and bake siding, value pricing, full service butcher. And our name is Southern Steer.
Now open in Ortega. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
April is Head and Neck Cancer Awareness Month. If caught early, this disease can be treated effectively. So take control of your health with the experts at Ackerman Cancer Center. Don't delay. Get screened for any symptoms. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
The best golfing weather is upon us, and Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to enjoy your round of golf with us. Our warm and welcoming atmosphere and spectacular golf course keeps our customers coming back. Check us out at HiddenHillsGC.com. You'll be glad you did.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, presented by FIS, takes the field this season at 1-to-1 Financial Ballpark as the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. Tickets start at just $5. Fireworks after every Friday home game, and kids run the bases after Sunday games. Call 358-2846 or jackshrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
Yo, yo, yo! Are you looking for the lowest price on car insurance? ET here for Australia Car Insurance. Call 1-800-CAR-INSURANCE today. Australia is your quick and easy alternative to pay less for car insurance. Switch and save money. Call 1-800-CAR-INSURANCE today.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-7473. That's 1-800-747-3733. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Mike DeRocco, ESPN.com, talking Jaguars, talking draft, talking AFC South and more. D-Rock, less than 10 minutes away here on Hacker After Dark to update you on everything going on in the state of Florida tonight. The Lightning have a 4-1 lead on Toronto, Game 4 of their playoff series in round number 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Lightning looking to even that series at 2-2 before they go back to Toronto for Game 5. Looking pretty good, up 4-1 at the second intermission. The Tampa Bay Rays are about to go to 20-3 on the year. Astros down to their final out at Tropicana Field. Rays an 8-3 lead, again about to go to 20-3 through their first 23 games. Lakers and Memphis coming up at 10 o'clock. Before that, we got the Bucks and the Heat. Bucks up 11 going to the fourth quarter. They're looking to even the series with Miami at 2 games apiece in the NBA postseason. Mike DeRocco, ESPN.com. Let's talk Jaguars, AFC South, and more. He's next. Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Get in. He's 1010XL's Sports Spy. He's Hayes. Matt Hayes.
007.
Noon to 3 weekdays.
Well, it seems you've become useful again.
On 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Did you hear what's happening? Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet are spring cleaning. New inventory on the ground means the old has to go. Take advantage of the lowest prices of the new year by saving thousands on thousands of vehicles priced to sell. New and pre-owned prices have been reduced, and all sales associates have been instructed to give maximum value on all trades. But you better hurry. That's right. Best deals go first. Head to Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville to take advantage of the spring cleaning sale. We're here to wow you.
People ask me, how do I get into broadcasting? They'll say something like, I love sports radio, but I don't know where to start. How do I get experience if no one will give me a chance? Well, 1010XL is partnering with the Broadcasters and Sportscasters Mentoring Group to offer on-air broadcast training to a select few. To find out how you could be mentored by someone from 1010XL, go to getintobroadcasting.com. Getintobroadcasting.com.
Learn how to grow and succeed in your business. The UNF Small Business Development Center presents an exclusive opportunity to hear from North Florida's award-winning small business leaders and local entrepreneurs. Register for your seat or a full table at the Small Business Week Awards Luncheon event at UNF on Friday, May 5th. And come network with the winners. More information at sbdc.unf.edu. That's sbdc.unf.edu. Sponsored by One-to-One Financial and JMI.
Hello? When you hear another great interview on 1010XL, it's on the Farah and Farah phone line.
I did not know that.
Brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
I want my lawyer. I'm not saying a word till I get a lawyer.
On 1010XL.
You will love your new windows and doors from Renewal by Anderson. And for a limited time, buy 2 windows or patio doors and get the third at 60% off. Plus, no money down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. You'll enjoy the beauty and quality that only Renewal by Anderson offers. This offer expires April 30th and restrictions apply. Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com. License number CGC 1527613.
Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods, and happy to report that Dandy has some brand new goodies, and they're only available at select Gate stores around town. 5 delicious new breakfast items to start your day off right. Fresh buttermilk biscuits, flaky croissants, French toast, maple waffles, all matched up with country sausage, ham, or bacon, fried eggs, and cheddar cheese. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, so go out and make yours a dandy just a little bit earlier tomorrow.
Got that hometown flavor creeping up on you, yeah.
Years ago, when Harrell and Harrell was growing, we had a decision to make whether we were going to grow into the state or even beyond. And we decided that we were going to stay here in this community in Northeast Florida, that it's staying here and not looking at where's the next place that we can go or how can we get bigger, because bigger is not necessarily better. This is our home, this is where our families are, this is where our friends are, and this is where we're going to stay. Offices, Jacksonville.
At Andy's Automotive and Truck Services, they know that your company's fleet is more than just a bunch of cars and trucks. It's your livelihood, your reputation, your pride.
So when you need routine fleet maintenance or emergency repairs, Andy's offers after-hours and mobile service to minimize your downtime and keep your fleet running like new. While you care for your employees and customers, rest assured Andy's Automotive will take care of your fleet. Visit the team at andysats.com.
Hicken here. If you're looking for a winning team to clean your carpets and tile, Zero Res, #1 in the country for customer satisfaction, and they were named Franchise of the Year. No surprise to me, I've had Zero Res clean my home for years, and man, there's nothing better than coming home to a clean house by Zero Res. The smell, the look, it's awesome. Right now, get 2 rooms of carpet cleaning the staircase for $148. Savings of $30. Remember, folks, Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Jacksonville has some junk, and J-Dog is removing it. They're here to do the dirty work. You don't want to remove and dispose of large furniture or appliances yourself? Call J-Dog. Here now proudly serving you, removing junk from your home or business. They can even handle small demolition projects, and they're still donating local items to veterans in need. So let J-Dog do the dirty work for you. J-Dog Junk Removal. Veteran-owned and operated. JDog.com.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The week is finally here. It is the NFL Draft. Thursday night out in Kansas City. The Jaguars own the 24th pick in round number 1. Let's talk draft. Let's talk AFC South. And let's look back on the offseason that was with our friend Mike DiRocco, ESPN.com. We lovingly call him D-Rock, and he's always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. D-Rock, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you, Hack?
We're good, buddy. Thank you for the time. And all right, I know you've been on other shows here on the station, but this is the first time we've had you on under the lights, if you will, since the offseason really started with free agency and everything. In totality, Mike, when you look at this, everything that transpired from March 13th, the start of free agency, to where we are now, how would you assess the Jaguars offseason?
Quiet, I guess, is the best way to describe it, and sort of just non-impactful, I guess, is the other way to describe it. I mean, they didn't have a lot of money to spend. We knew that going in. They restructured some contracts so they could, find a little bit more cap space there. They signed some depth guys, brought back Josh Wells, to be their new swing tackle, I suppose, in 2023. I think it's just a one-year deal, though, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But really, it was this is what you want out of your franchise when it's at a level where they're competing for championships. And maybe the Jags aren't quite there yet, but you don't want to sit there and spend a ton of money in free agency and have to make big splashes every year because your roster is in good enough shape from either what you've done draft-wise or, a couple of free agents signed previously, that you're not a big player in free agency. I mean, if you look at some of the other franchises in the league that have been at the top for so long, I mean, we don't see the Steelers go and make big time splashes in free agency year after year after year. So from the Jags standpoint, it was a quiet off season, and you kind of hope, other than, when you get to the point of, hey, getting a long-term deal done with Evan Ingram, or, in the next offseason signing Trevor Lawrence to that long-term deal, those are the kind of splashes you want to make. You don't want to be signing 4, 5, 6 other key guys every year.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the fact that they signed 8 guys last year and all 8 legitimately had impacts on this team, it was crazy. You're just not going to see that every year. So it was a quiet year in free agency. I want to get to Ingram. I want to get to Ridley, but quickly, Jawan Taylor's departure means, I guess, Walker Little to right tackle with Cam Robinson coming back at left tackle. Mike, is that going to be as seamless as we hope it's going to be for the Jaguars?
Yeah, I think so. Provided Cam is healthy at the beginning of the year, which GM Trent Baalke said the other day that he should be fine when the season begins or when camp begins. So, yeah, I mean, he just steps right in at right tackle, and then you've got your two guys there for this year. And then, 2024, that's a different question because we all know that Cam Robinson has a massive cap number in 24, and releasing him would save like $17.8 million. And, if you look, I think that's what the Jags plan to do because they didn't restructure his deal. They restructured 6 guys, and he was not one of them. So I think that's the writing on the wall that this is the last year for him in Jacksonville. And then you just kind of slide Walker Little over to left in 24, and then you figure out what you're doing at right tackle then. But this year should be pretty seamless for both of them. I think, though, and Hack, you've watched all the games, I think Walker Little is actually probably a better left tackle than he is right tackle. It seems like when he's been in the game at left tackle, there's been no drop-off and probably even a little bit of improvement over Cam Robinson, as opposed to, he was unable to beat out Juwan Taylor for the starting job last year at right tackle. Now, that was Juwan's best season of his career by far, so there is that. But I don't see any issues in terms of, Walker Little stepping in and being the starter there for 17 games this year.
I want to say it was our colleague Pete Prisco. I want to give credit where it's due because he's the first person that I at least saw, have this idea, if you will. The fact that you're probably right, Mike, and this is probably Cam Robinson's last year, Walker Little did play well at left tackle. Do you think at all about putting Walker Little at left and putting Cam Robinson at right tackle at this point in his career so that you don't just have to keep playing musical chairs with Walker Little from left tackle to right tackle and vice versa?
Yeah, you do think about it, but you also have to go into it knowing, is Cam Robinson amenable to it? Is it going to be a problem? Is he going to fight it? And what if he's not very good at right tackle? That's the other question. It's not easy to just flip sides. People think it's, just go flip and play right tackle. It's completely and totally a different thing. Everything's reversed. You've got different assignments. You're facing the best rushers on the left side there. And look, Juwan, was not a guy that could play left tackle at all. They tried it a little bit at Florida, and he apparently was pretty lost in some practices, so they moved him back to right.
Nobody told the Kansas City Chiefs that, though.
Yeah,
Mike.
That is the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. $20 million for a guy to protect the backside of Patrick Mahomes, who's never played there before. Good luck. Good for Juwan. He got the money, and good luck to them, and good luck to him. But it's not easy to flip sides. Walker Little being able to do it is actually a pretty big deal, and to do it at that level that he's been able to do it, that's impressive. So I think you could do it if you really wanted to, but honestly, Cam's been an average to, maybe a slightly above average left tackle at times, and you can get away with that in this league. And, Trevor Lawrence moves so well in the pocket and avoids the pressure, and they're getting the ball out quicker in this offense. So remember, he only took 28 sacks last year. So that's a good thing. So I think you probably just stick with what you're doing for this year and then just kind of make the switch next year.
Mike Duraco, ESPN.com. D-Rock, Evan Ingram missed the first week of the offseason program. He cannot report because he has not signed his franchise tag, and they have not worked out a long-term extension. Probably not a big deal now, but how long, if this goes on for a while, till it becomes maybe a bigger deal?
It's the same offense that he's in. It's not a new coaching staff. Everything's pretty much, what he dealt with last year. I don't see it as a bigger problem. It's at some point, they're going to come up to Trent Baalke said last week that, things are trending in the right direction to get a deal done before camp starts. And I think that's the time where you would sit there and go, okay, it's camp and he's not signed to a longer term deal. Now, he's not going to not sign the franchise tender and not play this year. Let's get that out of the way. No one leaves, $12 million on the table. He'll sign that eventually if they can't get a deal done. But Baalke is pretty confident that they'll have something done before camp. And I think that really is the drop dead part. He's got to get something done. It's interesting. I don't know what his salary demands are, but he's, probably not going to be the highest paid tight end. I don't think he's going to reset the market there, which I think is kind of what their camp is looking for. They want to get as big a deal as possible, obviously, but he's not Travis Kelce. He's not George Kittle. He's a really good fit in this offense. But I'm confident that they'll get something done, a 3-year deal, before camp starts. And that's when I would start to worry if nothing's been done then.
Mike, Calvin Ridley met the media last week, and in watching that, the guy was just holding court. I mean, some people call it arrogance. Some people call it cockiness. I call it refreshing because I can't remember, I guess maybe other than Jalen Ramsey, but it was a completely different type of arrogance that Jalen had. A guy just standing up there saying, yeah, I'm one of the best players in the league. I had 1,400 yards with a broken foot. Are you kidding me? I mean, that sounded like Stephon Diggs in Buffalo or George Kittle in San Francisco or Travis Kelce in Kansas City. He did it kind of in a respectful way, but I was unbelievably impressed by what I heard from Calvin Ridley last week. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, he's an alpha. I mean, look, there's a difference between being a number one wide receiver and being a team's number one wide receiver. Christian Kirk last year was the Jaguars' number one wide receiver, but he wasn't a number one. He's not a number one wide receiver. Those are the elite guys in the league. Those are the Calvin Ridleys and the Jamar Chase and the Stephon Diggs and the DeAndre Hopkins and the kid in Minnesota, Justin Jefferson. I mean, those are the alpha dogs, and those guys are just a different breed. We used to talk about, I think I probably said it to you before, like the league's top receivers, most of them got a little prima donna in them, a little bit of, I'm the best. And you have to have that in this league to be at that level. So it was very respectful, but I left that, thing thinking, what, this kid is supremely confident in who he is. He has put all that stuff behind him. Remember, he's, we focus on the gambling thing, but the bottom line was, he had a break-in at his home. He was dealing with some anxiety over that. He was dealing with some mental health issues over that. And he has been able to sort of put all that behind him, recharge himself, and get ready for a season. He seems as excited to get back on the field and to get this season here more so than I've ever seen anybody come in there and talk. It's almost like, they were in the Super Bowl. He was playing in the Super Bowl last year. They won it, and he wants to get back so they can just win another Super Bowl. I mean, that's the only way I can kind of really look at it. He's an alpha dog, and the Jags are going to be one of the top offenses in the NFL if he can be anything close to he was in 2020.
Boy, people were scratching their head when the Jaguars did that last year. That has the potential, that trade, to be unbelievable for Trent Baalke and his resume here in Jacksonville if it ultimately does work out. Final moments here, Mike DiRocco, ESPN.com. All right, D-Rock, in the time that we have left, let's focus on the draft. And before we get to the Jaguars, it could be a changing of the guard in the AFC South on Thursday night. I mean, you look at it, Mike, with Houston picking number 2 and number 12, Indianapolis at 4, and Tennessee at 11, with all the rumors about them potentially looking to move up. I mean, is it a 50-50 shot that every other team in the Jaguars division drafts a quarterback on Thursday night?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that Houston and Indianapolis do. You can't keep riding that quarterback carousel that the Colts have been on for the last, since Andrew Luck retired. I think they'll grab a guy, whether it's Will Levis or whether they move up, either way. I would be stunned if Houston doesn't take a quarterback with one of their 2 picks in the first round there. The one I'm not sure of is Tennessee. I mean, I've seen a lot of mocks where they move up and they grab a guy. I've also, read recently that Ryan Tannehill may be on the trade block there. So we'll have to see if that's actually that would be something that comes together, I would think, within the next several days before the draft, because you're not going to – that would largely determine where you go in the draft if you're the Titans and Rand Carthon, a first-time GM. So I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 did, but I'm expecting Houston and Indianapolis too. I'm just not quite sure about Tennessee. They're in kind of a weird spot, the Titans, because they're built the way teams were built in the 70s and 80s to win. They're built around a running back. Tannehill is a solid NFL starter. He's better than he's a couple of steps up from what Blake Bortles was, here in Jacksonville in terms he can put together a really solid stretch of games. He can win you a game here and there, but he's not an elite guy. He's not a guy like a Trevor Lawrence or Josh Allen that can put a team on his back and carry them. So you have to start wondering, with Derrick Henry approaching 30, how much longer can you be a team that's built that way and built around the running game and built around the big physical back? They need to really kind of make that transition to play the way that pretty much everybody else is trying to play. And, you have to do that with the quarterback, obviously. So I would still think that Tannehill probably sticks around another year, and then we see where it goes after that. But I'm expecting, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud to be in Houston, and not C.J. Bryce Young and Bryce Young's going one. C.J. Stroud and Will Levis to be in Indianapolis and Houston, respectively.
Yeah, certainly the way it looks. Perhaps Anthony Richardson, too, in that scenario. We'll have to see how it plays out. All right, D-Rock, that brings us to the Jaguars. Obviously not as easy as it has been in years past to pinpoint what they're going to do, but we know the positions, right? Or at least we think we know the positions. Defensive back appears to be a need. Maybe offensive tackle with an eye to the future. Because you mentioned with the Cam Robinson contract situation, I've also seen a lot of interior and really rush type guys along the defensive line. Trent Baalke said they have 2 or 3 guys in mind that they want to be there at 24. In your opinion, either the guys themselves or the positions, who do you think the Jaguars are targeting?
Well, I think if Deonte Banks is there when they pick, which I wouldn't think he would be, but if he is, I think that would be a guy that they would really love to have. Michael Mayer, the tight end, I think he would be a guy that they would love to have if he were there. And, one of the tackles, there'll probably be a little bit of a run on those guys before the Jags get to pick, before we get to the, low 20s. But if a pass rusher falls, if somehow Lucas Van Ness or Nolan Smith are there, it would be hard for them to pass those guys up because we all know that that's their biggest weakness. But, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the offensive tackle. I mean, look, you have to have that plan ahead of time. And, I think Trent Baalke was talking about this the other day, that Doug Peterson is really good at, hey, it's not just about this year. They have to look 2, 3, 4 years ahead in team building. A lot of coaches are just like, hey, they just look at this year. What can you do to help me this year? Well, with the Jags, you have Trevor Lawrence. So you're going to be fine there for the next 12, 15, whatever years. So you don't have to worry about that. What you have to worry about is making sure he's got enough guys around him. So taking an offensive tackle, like a guy like Anton Harrison, if he's there, for example, that sets you up for 2024 and beyond, and you're all ready to go. You don't have to worry about that, and then you don't have to sit there and use that pick next year or try and sign someone next year to fill the role of Cam Robinson if he's released. So I think those are the positions there that they will target, and, there's always a surprise or two. I don't know who's going to drop. Nobody does until draft night, but someone always does, and that does kind of create, a domino effect later on. So, but I think that we'll see either an offensive tackle, a corner, or one of the tight ends go in that area there. And if by chance one of those pass rushers falls, I think they might take that guy.
Offensive tackle is certainly enticing. I can't stop thinking about this, though, Mike. If they play, let's say hypothetically, Sunday night opening weekend against Cincinnati, and your secondary, if they don't take a corner in round 1, is Tyson Campbell and Darius Williams and Trey Herndon and Gregory Jr. and Monteric Brown, you got problems. So that's why, to me, I think corner, well, you mentioned Deonte Banks, whomever it may be, I would have to think corner awfully, awfully high on their list.
Yeah, I think it is as well. But I think, there's also the ability to get a guy in the second round, too. I think what they have to do is decide, look, what's the bigger depth position there? Is it a better depth position at pass rusher, or is it a better depth position at corner? If they feel like they can get the corner in the second round and it's not as deep and their ratings of the pass rushers are, nowhere near as deep, then I think you would probably expect them to go pass rusher there. It's just interesting because there are so many ways they can go, and it's really a tough thing to kind of predict where they will go, just because it's easier when they're at 6 or 4 or 3 or 2 or in the top 10. But when they're down this far, it's almost like a crapshoot for those of us that are doing mock drafts. And there's so many ways they could go, and it's hard to make an argument against either one of those positions, whether it's corner or pass rusher, or tight end, or offensive tackle. You can make a pretty compelling argument for taking a guy at that position at 24. So it's going to be fun to watch. I'm excited about this draft unfolding because it's been only one time since I've started covering this team that they haven't picked in the top 10. So it's awesome.
Mike, what do you have coming up on ESPN.com this week?
Well, I have my final thing, a series of, draft. The Jaguars should draft this position at 24. I've done tight end and corner and offensive tackle, and the last one this week is they should take an edge rusher. It is their number one weakness. You can't survive in the AFC if you're not able to get to the quarterback. And remember, the last time we saw this team on the field, Patrick Mahomes is limping around on one leg, and the Jags didn't even come close to getting to him. So you got to fix that if you're going to compete with Burrow and Mahomes and Herbert and Josh Allen and all those guys. So that's the last thing I have in that series there, and then we'll just see what happens on Thursday night.
Mike DiRocco, D-Rock, ESPN.com. Mike, as always, man, thank you for the time. I know you're busy this week. We'll talk again soon, my friend.
Thanks, Hack. I appreciate it.
Man, thank you to my friend Mike DiRocco, D-Rock of ESPN.com, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark, as we are now inside of 72 hours till the National Football League draft. Again, a very, very busy week here on Hacker After Dark. We'll be with you again tomorrow night and Wednesday. We're off on Thursday for the Jaguar draft special, and then we'll be back on Friday during round 2 and round 3. Former Dallas Cowboy head coach Dave Campo will be in studio with me as we will talk about the picks as they come in rounds 2 and 3 of the draft this Friday night on Hacker After Dark. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker, Ryan Green. And Jacksonville, thank you for spending your Monday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Monday evening, and we will do it all over again tomorrow night on a Tuesday beginning at 10 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
Serving one of the fastest growing cities in America.
It don't get no better than this.
I guess it's no longer a best kept secret. 1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio.